Correct me if I am wrong here. The worldwide leader in woke, ESPN, they market themselves as being the proud home of women's basketball, right? From college basketball to the WNBA dump, ESPN is proud to be the exclusive home to this unbelievably fast-paced action, right? I often see these polished commercials where ESPN is applying a double coat of polish on the WNBA turd. This league is must-see TV! This league is amazing! Don't miss the slow-paced basketball that can only be found in the WNBA dump. Over the weekend, ESPN was criticized on social media for putting the scores of the women's tournament on the front page of ESPN.com instead of, showing the scores of the real March Madness. Since ESPN is allergic to criticism on social media, they immediately made changes and put the men on the front page. But the reason they were showcasing the women, ESPN owns the rights to the women's tournament. Plus, they're always looking for ways to promote women's basketball. I mean, it makes sense. You're paying hundreds of dollars for this product. It's only logical that you promote it so you receive a return on your investment. With ESPN supposedly valuing women's basketball, you would think they would utilize their best announcers, their best play-by-play callers, their most experienced, their most high-profile broadcasters for an event as important as the women's tournament. I don't know if diversity played a part in what happened last weekend. For some reason, ESPN seems to feature mostly women on broadcast for women's sports, and for reasons unknown, they feature women in men's sports too. I don't know if diversity played a role here, and someone named Krista Blunk being given this high-profile job. What I do know is, she must have fallen asleep like the rest of us, because she damn sure was not paying attention to the game that she was broadcasting. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the main channels in the description below. In the final seconds of the second round matchup between Ole Miss and Minnesota, the game was tied with about 3 seconds left. Minnesota has the ball, and it's obvious to anyone who has watched a single game of basketball what's about to happen. The ladies from Minnesota, who Tim Walz aspires to be, they're going to take the final shot. If they make it, game over. If they miss, going into overtime. What is not going to happen, what cannot happen, is Ole Miss fouling intentionally or doing something dumb like going for a steal, which could send Minnesota to the free throw line. Everyone seemed to know that except Krista Blunk. Watch it for yourself.
The clock is the problem right now for Ole Miss with 3.5 seconds left.
Game's tied.
You're going to look to go for a steal if you're Ole Miss on the inbounds and see if you can.
Yeah, got to go for a steal. 3 seconds left. Game's tied.
Then you're going to foul.
Oh, yeah. If you don't get the steal, you got to foul. Game's tied.
Yeah, Ole Miss got to play your best defense ever on this inbound play with 3.5.
Maybe Sophie Hart, 61% free throw shooter. If she gets the ball in her hands, likely.
Yeah, you got to foul Sophie Hart.
Into her.
You got to get a foul because the game's tied.
Andrea Lloyd, who is a veteran broadcaster, she does her best to salvage this situation without embarrassing her broadcast partner, but there's just no way to salvage it. This was a legendary botch. Either Krista Blunk doesn't understand situational basketball, which I highly doubt that's the case. For years, she has been a play-by-play broadcaster for the Pac-12. Well, maybe she doesn't have a lot of experience since the Pac-12 no longer exists. But still, I highly doubt that Krista Blunk doesn't understand situational basketball. I'm leaning towards she wasn't paying attention. Maybe she was distracted. Maybe she was bored. Who in the hell knows? I will say this, though, about the women's tournament. As you guys know, Uncle Casey, I'm not a fan of women's basketball. It's nothing against the ladies. I just don't find it compelling. I don't find it entertaining. But one thing I do like about the women's tournament, I like how they play the early rounds at home. When Minnesota hit that game-winning shot, the reaction from the crowd was electric. There's just no way to recreate that magic when you're playing at a neutral site. I don't care how many fans travel to the game. There's no way you can recreate that magic, the energy that you get from a home crowd. I know it's tradition for March Madness to be played at neutral sites, but traditions are made to be broken. I think it would make it even more special if the early rounds of March Madness were played on their home court. But anyway, sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later on the main channel.